So, when the world feels too loud and your vision begins to blur, remember this. Your focus is not something you find, it's something you choose. Every day, in the midst of chaos, you are given a choice to be consumed by distraction or to return. Quietly, powerfully, to your purpose. Focus is not about perfection. It is about the courage to pause, to breathe, and to begin again, no matter how many times you've drifted. It is about honoring the small steps, believing in the silent progress, and trusting that even when the path is unclear, the journey is shaping you. So choose to show up, not for the noise of the world, but for the whisper of your soul. And when your energy aligns with your intention, when your pain transforms into purpose, you will find not only focus, but freedom. There is a strange kind of power in accepting what is, not what was. Not what could be, but what is, right here, right now. We spend so much of our lives resisting the present moment, believing that if we just fight a little harder, we can bend reality to our will. But focus, true, meaningful focus, does not come from resistance. It blooms from acceptance. Acceptance does not mean giving up. It does not mean settling. It means meeting yourself exactly where you are, without judgment and without shame, because you cannot focus on what matters if you are constantly trying to escape where you are. You cannot move forward if your mind is trapped in a loop of why me or what if. Acceptance is not the end of ambition. It is the beginning of clarity. Imagine standing in the middle of a storm. The winds are wild, the world is spinning, and everything feels out of control. You have two choices. You can fight the wind and exhaust yourself, or you can stand still, plant your feet, and let the storm pass through you. That is acceptance. That is where focus begins, not in the chaos, but in the calm you create within yourself. We are taught to strive, to push, to hustle, but nobody teaches us how to be still. Nobody tells us that sometimes the bravest thing we can do is to sit with our pain, to look at our broken pieces and say, "This is part of me too." And once you do that, once you stop running and start acknowledging, you'll find that focus comes easier, because your energy is no longer being drained by denial. It is being directed by truth. There is a sacred kind of strength in saying, "Yes, this is hard. Yes, I am tired, but I am here and I am willing." That is not weakness. That is not giving in. That is the foundation of transformation. Focus cannot survive in the soil of self-rejection, but it thrives in the light of self-awareness. When you accept where you are, you stop wasting energy pretending to be somewhere else. Think about the moments in your life when you felt the most lost, the most scattered, the most unfocused. Weren't those the times you were fighting against your own story, trying to rewrite the past or predict the future? Focus comes from presence, and presence comes from acceptance. You do not have to have it all figured out. You just have to be here, really here, eyes open, heart open, no masks, no running. It's in those quiet moments of acceptance, when you stop pretending to be okay and start listening to what your heart is really saying, that you begin to find your way back to yourself. And when you are with yourself fully, your focus sharpens, because you're not split between who you are and who you think you should be. You are whole, and wholeness brings clarity. You might be in a place in life right now that you didn't choose. You might be facing pain you didn't ask for, challenges you never imagined, and it's okay to feel that. It's okay to grieve the plans that didn't work out, but don't let your disappointment blind you to the possibilities still blooming in the present. You are not stuck. You are being still. You are not lost. You are learning to listen. When you stop fighting the present moment, you start hearing the quiet whispers of your intuition. You start noticing what actually matters. You begin to prioritize peace over pressure, purpose over perfection, and from that space, focus grows. It grows slowly, gently, like sunlight creeping through the curtains in the morning. It's not loud or dramatic. It's steady and honest. You don't have to force focus. You don't have to chase it. You just have to create the conditions for it to find you, and the first step in that process is acceptance. The kind of acceptance that says, "I am not where I thought I'd be, but maybe this is exactly where I'm meant to begin again." The kind that looks pain in the eye and says, "You don't define me, but I will learn from you." The kind that turns chaos into clarity and distraction into direction. So breathe. Let go of the fight. Let go of the need to control everything. Open your hands, open your heart. Accept the present moment for what it is, not what you wish it to be. Because once you do, you will find that your mind stops spinning, your heart stops racing, and your focus finds its way back home. And in that stillness, you'll realize that you don't need to fix everything before you begin. You just need to begin, right here, right now. There's a kind of noise that never leaves you, not the traffic outside your window or the hum of daily conversations, but the noise within. The inner dialogue that never stops talking. The voices that echo every doubt, every fear, every story you've told yourself about not being good enough. This noise is louder than any external sound because it speaks the language of your insecurities. And unless you learn how to silence it, it will rob you of your focus, your peace, and your purpose. We all carry this noise in different ways. For some, it's the harsh critic that says, "You're too late," or "You'll never make it." For others, it's the constant comparison, the voice that reminds you of everyone doing more, achieving more, being more. And while the outside world may demand our attention, it's this internal world that truly controls our energy. Because you cannot focus on your goals when your mind is busy fighting invisible battles. Silencing the noise within is not about pretending those thoughts don't exist. It's about recognizing that not every voice in your head deserves your attention. Not every thought deserves your belief. Your mind is a powerful storyteller, but sometimes it confuses safety with stagnation. It will tell you to stay small, stay hidden, stay quiet, because that feels safe. But safety is not the same as fulfillment, and the longer you let those internal voices guide you, the further you drift from your truth. Focus begins when you start listening to the voice beneath the noise, the one that whispers, not shouts. The one that says, "Try again," even when everything feels impossible. That voice is quiet, not because it is weak, but because it is wise. And wisdom doesn't need to scream to be heard. It simply waits for you to get still enough to listen. You can't force silence, you have to invite it, and that begins with slowing down, with stepping away from the endless scroll, the constant stimulation, the need to always be doing. It means carving out space in your day, not just physically, but emotionally and mentally. It means learning to be alone with your thoughts without letting them consume you. That kind of solitude is not loneliness, it's power, because in that silence you remember who you are without the noise. You begin to realize that so many of the thoughts that once held you hostage aren't even yours. They're echoes of voices from the past, old criticism from people who never saw your potential, conditioned beliefs from a world that profits off your doubt. Once you see them for what they are, they begin to lose their power, and in that awareness you gain the freedom to choose what you focus on. There will still be days when the noise returns, when fear wraps itself around your heart and whispers all the reasons why you're not enough. That's okay. Silence is not the absence of thoughts. It's the refusal to let those thoughts control you. It's the decision to return again and again to your breath, your body, your truth. It's saying, "I see you, but I don't believe you today. Your focus is precious." It's not just about productivity or checking boxes. It's about being aligned with what matters, and that alignment only comes when you quiet the voices that pull you in 1,000 different directions. When you say no to distraction and yes to depth, when you stop trying to prove yourself and start trusting yourself. Trust is the antidote to inner noise. The more you trust your path, the less you need validation. The more you trust your timing, the less you panic when things don't go according to plan. And the more you trust your worth, the less you let fear speak for you. Trust turns down the volume on doubt. It creates space for clarity, for vision, for purpose. You don't have to silence the noise all at once. You just have to start. Maybe that looks like journaling instead of scrolling. Maybe it's choosing meditation over multitasking. Maybe it's walking in nature without headphones and letting the world remind you that life exists beyond your thoughts. These small moments of quiet are not luxuries, they are necessities. They are the building blocks of focus, of presence, of peace. Because once the noise fades, even for a moment, you remember what it feels like to be grounded, to be centered, to be fully here, and in that space, focus doesn't feel like effort. It feels like homecoming. You're no longer being pulled in every direction. You are moving with intention, with awareness, with purpose. So if your mind feels crowded, if your thoughts feel heavy, don't panic. You're not broken. You're human, and being human means learning how to navigate the noise without letting it define you. It means choosing, moment by moment, to return to yourself, to your breath, to your truth, because in the stillness beneath the noise is where your power lies. And when you learn how to listen to that silence, you don't just find focus, you find freedom. There comes a point in every journey when the path you were on no longer feels like it leads anywhere meaningful. The destination may still look impressive from the outside, but inside, something feels off. The excitement that once lit up your soul begins to flicker. The goals you chased so fiercely no longer stir your heart. That is the moment when you must stop, breathe, and ask yourself the question that often gets lost in the noise of ambition. Why did I start? And more importantly, why should I continue? Purpose is not a one-time discovery. It is a living, breathing essence that evolves as you grow. What once fueled your drive might no longer align with who you're becoming, and that's not failure, it's transformation. Sometimes the most courageous thing you can do is admit that the life you built was based on who you used to be, not who you are now. Redefining your purpose is not giving up, it's leveling up. It's realigning your energy with your truth. There's a heaviness that comes with chasing the wrong purpose. You may appear successful on the surface, but inside there's an ache, a quiet disconnection. You go through the motions, but the meaning is missing. You're busy, but not fulfilled, productive, but not passionate. And it's in these silent moments of realization that the door to deeper clarity begins to open. You begin to wonder if the ladder you've been climbing is leaning against the wrong wall. And that question, though unsettling, is the seed of change. Redefining your purpose does not mean starting from scratch. It means looking at your life with honest eyes and asking what truly matters to you now. Not 5 years ago, not to your parents, not to society, but to you. What sets your soul on fire today? What makes you feel alive, connected, and inspired? The answers may surprise you. They may challenge the identity you've built. But they will also free you from the trap of living a life that no longer fits. When you find the courage to let go of outdated definitions of success, you make space for a more authentic vision of purpose to emerge. And that new vision won't always come with instant clarity. Sometimes it arrives in pieces, in moments of joy, in quiet conversations, in the things that make you forget to check your phone. Purpose speaks in whispers, not shouts. It reveals itself when you stop trying to force it and start listening. And yes, redefining your purpose can feel like a loss. Letting go of old dreams, old titles, or old identities is not easy. There will be grief. There will be doubt, but there will also be light. Because in that space of surrender, something beautiful begins to rise. A purpose rooted not in what the world expects from you, but in what your soul needs to give. That kind of purpose is not about impressing others. It's about expressing your truth. You may not have all the answers right away, but that's okay. Purpose is not a destination. It's a direction. It's not about having a perfect plan. It's about moving with intention, one step at a time, even when the path is unclear. It's about showing up for what matters, even when it's hard, and it's about letting your life be guided by meaning, not metrics. Sometimes redefining your purpose means simplifying your life. It means saying no to things that once seemed important so you can say yes to what actually feeds your spirit. It means disconnecting from comparison and reconnecting with compassion for yourself, for your journey, for your growth. Purpose is not a competition. It is a conversation between your heart and your actions. And when those two align, you begin to feel a deep sense of peace, even in the midst of uncertainty. There is no shame in changing course. In fact, it takes strength to admit that you want something different, that you crave more authenticity, more depth, more meaning. The world may try to make you feel like you're behind or lost, but the truth is, you are exactly where you need to be to redefine your purpose. Every detour, every disappointment, every breakdown has brought you here, to this moment of realignment. And once you find that new sense of purpose, even if it's fragile and unclear at first, you'll notice your focus sharpening. The fog begins to lift. The distractions lose their grip, because when you know your why, you stop chasing everything and start choosing what matters. You stop being pulled in 100 directions and begin moving forward with clarity and conviction. Purpose doesn't make the journey easier, but it makes it worth it. It gives meaning to the hard days and fuel to the good ones. It anchors you when life gets uncertain and lifts you when the weight feels heavy. And it keeps evolving with you, asking you to check in, to stay honest, and to keep choosing growth over comfort. So if you're feeling disconnected, lost, or restless, know that it's not the end. It's an invitation to go deeper, to ask better questions, and to trust that redefining your purpose is not a detour, but a powerful return to who you're truly meant to be. Pain is a language life uses when it wants to get your attention. It doesn't ask for permission, it doesn't knock politely. It enters uninvited and stays longer than expected. It arrives in many forms: heartbreak, loss, failure, disappointment, betrayal. And when it does, it shakes the very foundation of your being. It makes you question everything: your strength, your worth, your future. But pain, as unbearable as it may feel in the moment, carries within it a seed. And that seed, when nurtured, can grow into a kind of power no comfort ever could. There's a silent dignity in walking through pain and choosing not to let it harden you. There is strength in crying, in breaking, in falling, and still choosing to stand again. People often speak of pain as something to escape from, something to numb or avoid. But pain, if faced with courage, becomes a teacher. It reveals your depth. It strips away what is superficial and shows you what truly matters. It holds up a mirror and asks, "Who are you when everything is taken away?" In those moments you learn. Not from textbooks or speeches, but from experience, from sitting with your suffering and letting it shape you. Not into someone bitter, but into someone brave. Pain makes you pay attention. It slows you down. It humbles you, and most of all, it connects you to yourself and to others. Because when you have felt pain deeply, you begin to see it in other people. You soften, you listen better, you love deeper. Turning pain into power doesn't mean pretending you're okay when you're not. It doesn't mean putting on a smile while you're silently falling apart. It means honoring your wounds while choosing to rise above them. It means letting your past inform you, not define you. It means looking at your scars and saying, "This hurt me, but it did not destroy me." There is power in acknowledging your brokenness, in saying, "Yes, I have suffered, but I am still here." That power doesn't come from denial. It comes from truth. It comes from embracing your story, every dark chapter and every painful page, and realizing that it all had a purpose. Maybe not in the moment, maybe not in the way you hoped, but in the grand design of your life, that pain carved space for something greater. Sometimes pain strips away everything that is not essential so you can discover what truly is. It clears the noise, it burns away illusions, it tests your roots. And if you let it, it will lead you to the strongest parts of yourself, the parts you never knew existed until you had no choice but to find them. The people who carry the most light often come from the darkest places. Their compassion runs deep because they've known deep sorrow. Their strength is quiet, not loud, steady, not showy, and their wisdom doesn't come from books but from battles. Real power is not built in comfort. It is forged in adversity. It is born when you face your pain and say, "You will not have the final word." There's something sacred about choosing to heal, not because it's easy, but because it's necessary. Healing is not a straight line. It's a messy, non-linear journey full of setbacks and small victories, but every step matters. Every time you choose to forgive, to release, to grow, you reclaim a little more of your power. You begin to shift from being a victim of your story to the author of it, and when you do that, something inside you changes. You stop seeking validation from a world that doesn't know your struggle. You stop needing to prove your worth, because your worth is no longer tied to your circumstances. It is anchored in your resilience. You realize that your pain, instead of breaking you, built you. It gave you strength disguised as suffering, wisdom disguised as wounds. That doesn't mean you wanted the pain. It doesn't mean it was fair or that it didn't leave a mark. It just means you chose to rise despite it. And that choice, that one powerful, repeated choice to keep going, is what transforms pain into purpose. Eventually, you'll look back and see that the very moments you thought would destroy you were the ones that defined you. They became the foundation on which you built your courage, the fire that refined your focus, the struggle that shaped your strength. So if you are in pain right now, don't rush to escape it. Don't bury it. Don't silence it. Listen to what it's trying to teach you. Allow it to show you who you are when everything else is stripped away. And when the time comes, and it will, you will begin to feel that power rise within you, quietly, steadily, unshakably. You will walk differently, speak differently, live differently, because you will know that no matter what life throws at you, you have already walked through fire and survived. And not just survived, but risen, stronger and more grounded than ever before. In a world that constantly demands your attention, creating a sacred space for yourself is not a luxury. It is a necessity. Every day you are pulled in countless directions, surrounded by noise, opinions, obligations, and distractions that chip away at your inner stillness. Amid all of that, you often forget the most important relationship you will ever have, the one with yourself. That connection, that inner sanctuary, is where clarity, peace, and focus are born. Without it, you drift, you react, and you live disconnected from your own truth. A sacred space isn't about candles or cushions or quiet rooms, although those things can help. It's about creating a space physically, mentally, emotionally, where you can meet yourself fully, where you can exhale, where the world falls away and all that's left is your breath, your heartbeat, your presence. This space becomes a refuge, not because it isolates you from the world, but because it reconnects you to yourself in the midst of it. Too often, people wait for the world to give them permission to rest, to reflect, to heal. But the truth is, the world rarely offers that pause. You have to claim it. You have to carve it out with intention, protect it with boundaries, and return to it with consistency. That sacred space is where you remember who you are beyond the noise, beyond the roles, beyond the pressure to perform. It starts with a decision, a commitment to value your peace as much as your productivity, to recognize that your worth isn't measured by how much you do, but by how deeply you live. That commitment requires courage, because creating space for yourself will often feel inconvenient. There will always be something else that feels more urgent. But if you keep waiting for the right time, that time may never come. You have to make the time. You have to decide that your inner world deserves as much attention as your outer achievements. In your sacred space, you are allowed to be honest. You don't have to pretend. You don't have to shrink yourself to fit into other people's expectations. You can feel what you feel without judgment. You can speak to yourself with compassion instead of criticism. You can listen to your inner wisdom, the voice that often gets drowned out in the chaos of daily life. This space teaches you to slow down, to notice, to breathe, and in that stillness, something powerful happens. You begin to hear yourself again. You begin to trust yourself again. You realize that answers you've been searching for outside have been quietly waiting inside all along, that the healing you crave, the clarity you need, the strength you seek, it all lives within you. But you can only access it when you stop long enough to listen. Creating a sacred space also means setting boundaries, not as a way of pushing people away, but as a way of protecting your energy. You cannot pour from an empty cup. You cannot serve the world from a place of depletion. Boundaries are not selfish, they are necessary. They say, this is where I end and this is where I begin. They help you show up fully, not resentfully. Your sacred space is also where you plant seeds of hope, of intention, of transformation. It's where you can ask the hard questions and sit with the silence long enough to receive the answers. It's where you recalibrate, reflect, and realign. It doesn't need to be hours long or far away. Sometimes it's just 10 minutes of deep breathing. Sometimes it's writing in a journal. Sometimes it's standing under the sky and remembering how small your worries are compared to the vastness of existence. The power of this space is not in its size, but in its consistency. It is in returning again and again, even when you don't feel like it. Especially when you don't feel like it, because that's when you need it the most. When life is heavy, when your heart is tired, when your mind is noisy, that's when your sacred space becomes your anchor. Over time, this space doesn't just exist around you. It begins to live within you. It becomes a state of being. You carry it into meetings, into conversations, into decisions. It becomes the calm at the center of the storm, the quiet confidence that guides you through the noise. It is the place from which you lead, love, and live with intention. You are not meant to live disconnected from yourself. You are not meant to move through life on autopilot, constantly reacting, endlessly giving, without ever returning to replenish. You are meant to live rooted, centered, whole, and that wholeness begins with space. Sacred space, space to feel, to heal, to breathe, to be. So choose yourself, not just once, but every day. Choose to come home to yourself, to honor your needs, to value your presence, build that space, protect it, return to it, because within it lies everything you need to navigate this life with grace, strength, and unwavering focus. Growth doesn't come in loud declarations or grand victories. It often arrives quietly, in the small moments when you choose to keep going, even when it feels like nothing is changing. Progress is not always visible to the outside world. Sometimes the most profound transformations are the ones no one sees. The battles you fight in silence, the courage it takes just to rise each morning, the tears you wipe away before you step out into the world again. It's easy to be hard on yourself when your progress doesn't match your expectations, but true strength lies in patience, in choosing to stay the course even when the path is slow and uncertain. There's a part of you that wants to move fast, that wants instant results, immediate recognition, visible outcomes. It's human. You've been taught to measure your worth by how quickly you achieve, by how much you accomplish, by how far ahead you appear to be. But real growth doesn't follow a timeline. Healing doesn't check off boxes. Becoming who you are meant to be isn't a race. It's a journey of unfolding, layer by layer, breath by breath. Being patient with your progress means honoring the pace that is right for you. Not the pace someone else expects, not the pace that looks impressive from the outside, but the pace that aligns with your truth, your energy, your capacity in this moment. Some days you'll take big steps. Other days, your only progress will be choosing not to give up, and that is enough. Every step matters, even the small ones, especially the small ones. There will be times when you feel like nothing is working, like you're stuck in place, like everyone else is moving forward while you're falling behind. But you're not behind, you're building something real. And real things take time. Be patient. Trust the process even when it feels invisible. Flowers do not bloom overnight. The roots grow first beneath the surface where no one can see, and only when they are strong enough do the petals begin to show. Your growth is the same. Don't dismiss the progress you can't yet see. Sometimes being patient with yourself means forgiving the part of you that thought you'd be further along by now. It means releasing the pressure to be perfect, to have it all figured out, to never struggle. You're human, you're learning, you're allowed to take your time, you're allowed to rest, you're allowed to stumble. Progress is not linear. Some days you'll move forward, some days you'll fall back. But every day you choose to show up, to try again, you are building resilience. You might compare your journey to someone else's and feel like you're failing, but their chapter 10 is not your chapter 1. You don't know the battles they've faced or the time it took them to get where they are. Their journey is not your standard. You are not here to keep up. You are here to live your truth, to grow in your own way, to honor your own story. Patience is not passive, it's powerful. It means choosing grace over guilt, presence over pressure. It means staying grounded in the middle of uncertainty. It means knowing that slow progress is still progress, and that you don't have to prove your worth through speed. The most lasting growth is the kind that happens slowly over time, through consistent, imperfect effort. There's a quiet strength in the person who continues to try, who gets back up after falling, who shows up even when it's hard. That strength is not always praised or recognized, but it is the foundation of real change. You don't need to rush. You don't need to have all the answers. You just need to keep showing up for yourself one moment at a time. And while you're being patient with your progress, don't forget to celebrate how far you've already come. Maybe you're not where you want to be yet, but you're not where you used to be. Think of the battles you've survived, the moments you've pushed through, the pain you've turned into wisdom. Give yourself credit for the quiet victories, for the strength it takes to heal, to grow, to rise. Progress doesn't always come with applause. Sometimes it's simply a softer heart, a calmer mind, a deeper breath. Sometimes it's choosing to walk away instead of reacting in anger. Sometimes it's learning to say no or finally saying yes. These are the milestones that shape you in ways the world may never notice. But you feel them, and they matter. So be kind to yourself in the becoming. Don't rush your growth. Don't resent the slow seasons. They are shaping you in ways speed never could. You are not late. You are not behind. You are on a sacred path of transformation, and it is unfolding exactly as it needs to. Let go of the pressure to be further along. Embrace where you are fully, with grace, with patience, with love, because right here, in the middle of the messy, imperfect, in-progress version of yourself, this is where your power is growing. This is where your future is being built. And this is where you are becoming everything you are meant to be. Growth doesn't come in loud declarations or grand victories. It often arrives quietly, in the small moments when you choose to keep going even when it feels like nothing is changing. Progress is not always visible to the outside world. Sometimes the most profound transformations are the ones no one sees. The battles you fight in silence, the courage it takes just to rise each morning, the tears you wipe away before you step out into the world again. It's easy to be hard on yourself when your progress doesn't match your expectations. But true strength lies in patience, in choosing to stay the course even when the path is slow and uncertain. There's a part of you that wants to move fast. That wants instant results, immediate recognition, visible outcomes. It's human. You've been taught to measure your worth by how quickly you achieve, by how much you accomplish, by how far ahead you appear to be. But real growth doesn't follow a timeline. Healing doesn't check off boxes. Becoming who you are meant to be isn't a race. It's a journey of unfolding, layer by layer, breath by breath. Being patient with your progress means honoring the pace that is right for you. Not the pace someone else expects. Not the pace that looks impressive from the outside, but the pace that aligns with your truth, your energy, your capacity in this moment. Some days you'll take big steps. Other days, your only progress will be choosing not to give up, and that is enough. Every step matters, even the small ones, especially the small ones. There will be times when you feel like nothing is working, like you're stuck in place, like everyone else is moving forward while you're falling behind. But you're not behind. You're building something real. And real things take time, Be patient. Trust the process even when it feels invisible. Flowers do not bloom overnight. The roots grow first beneath the surface where no one can see, and only when they are strong enough do the petals begin to show. Your growth is the same. Don't dismiss the progress you can't yet see. Sometimes being patient with yourself means forgiving the part of you that thought you'd be further along by now. It means releasing the pressure to be perfect, to have it all figured out, to never struggle. You're human, you're learning, you're allowed to take your time, you're allowed to rest, you're allowed to stumble. Progress is not linear. Some days you'll move forward, some days you'll fall back. But every day you choose to show up, to try again, you are building resilience. You might compare your journey to someone else's and feel like you're failing, but their chapter 10 is not your chapter 1. You don't know the battles they've faced or the time it took them to get where they are. Their journey is not your standard. You are not here to keep up. You are here to live your truth, to grow in your own way, to honor your own story. Patience is not passive. It's powerful. It means choosing grace over guilt, presence over pressure. It means staying grounded in the middle of uncertainty. It means knowing that slow progress is still progress, and that you don't have to prove your worth through speed. The most lasting growth is the kind that happens slowly over time through consistent, imperfect effort. There is a quiet strength in the person who continues to try, who gets back up after falling, who shows up even when it's hard. That strength is not always praised or recognized, but it is the foundation of real change. You don't need to rush. You don't need to have all the answers. You just need to keep showing up for yourself, one moment at a time. And while you're being patient with your progress, don't forget to celebrate how far you've already come. Maybe you're not where you want to be yet, but you're not where you used to be. Think of the battles you've survived, the moments you've pushed through, the pain you've turned into wisdom. Give yourself credit for the quiet victories, for the strength it takes to heal, to grow, to rise. Progress doesn't always come with applause. Sometimes it's simply a softer heart, a calmer mind, a deeper breath. Sometimes it's choosing to walk away instead of reacting in anger. Sometimes it's learning to say no, or finally saying yes. These are the milestones that shape you in ways the world may never notice. But you feel them and they matter, so be kind to yourself in the becoming. Don't rush your growth. Don't resent the slow seasons. They are shaping you in ways speed never could. You are not late. You are not behind. You are on a sacred path of transformation, and it is unfolding exactly as it needs to. Let go of the pressure to be further along. Embrace where you are fully, with grace, with patience, with love. Because right here, in the middle of the messy, imperfect, in-progress version of yourself, this is where your power is growing. This is where your future is being built. And this is where you are becoming everything you are meant to be.